All right, Lily, my camera is set up. We are good to go. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, a little nervous. I always get kind of nervous before interviews.
What is it like to be you?
Um, that's such a hard question to answer. I don't know. I do a lot of art and I like poetry and stuff like that. And a recurring theme in my stuff, specifically about me, is definitely like feeling like an alien surrounded by humans and like I'm trying to fit in, but I feel like it's getting obvious that I'm not from this planet.
What is the most important thing you want others to understand about autism?
That it doesn't make you an alien. You might feel like one, but it doesn't.
Welcome to SBSK. We believe that everybody has a story that's worthy of being heard. When we listen to one another, the world becomes a closer place, and we all benefit together. So without hesitation, let's meet today's friend.
I have the remnants of a tag in my hoodie.
Does sensory bother you like that?
Yes, it's funny because when I was first trying to get, when I was first getting tested for autism, one of the guys asked me, do you have problems with tags or itchy socks? And I was like, well, yeah, but I usually cut them all out so it doesn't bother me. And it's like, okay, so you do have problems with that. I was like, okay, yeah, I do.
So what does it feel like if you have a tag on the inside of your shirt and you can't cut it out?
Sometimes I won't notice it, but once I notice it, it's like it's constantly there. I don't understand how people can deal with things like that. Do they? I don't know how that works.
What are all of your diagnoses?
When I was in middle school, I believe I was diagnosed with anxiety. When I was 15 or 14, I was diagnosed with ADHD, but once I got my autism diagnosis, they told me that I probably didn't have ADHD, so I'm kind of confused about that. One doctor said I had ADHD, another doctor said I didn't after I got that diagnosis.
Is it true that a lot of times girls can be diagnosed with ADHD prior to being diagnosed with autism?
It's very, very common. Girls, autism presents a lot differently in girls. I feel like if I had been born a boy, I probably would have gotten diagnosed when I was still in elementary school, but it took me until I was almost graduating high school to get diagnosed.
We flipped around my camera. Right there we can see ourselves. What do you think when you see yourself?
I think I'm Lily. I don't know, it's sometimes I get in my head like, oh wow, I'm a person that exists. That's so weird. The idea of consciousness sometimes freaks me out if I think about it for too long. I went to the Houston Museum last week, and there was an exhibit talking about the idea of consciousness and how other animals may or may not experience that, and that's just so interesting to me, like how we define consciousness.
Will you often be in a social situation with you're 17, right? Mm-hmm. With other 17-year-olds, and they're all talking about whatever goes on in 17-year-olds' lives these days. I'm an old man, I don't know anymore. But that you're sitting there, you're thinking about like consciousness. I can't believe that this thing exists where we know about our own existence. This is so bizarre. When did this happen? Why did it happen?
I'm having like philosophical thoughts while they're talking about like prom.
Will that happen to you?
Probably.
What is that like?
I'm an overthinker, so I'll have an existential crisis, probably.
What does an existential crisis look like for you?
So thinking, wow, the universe is crazy. Why do we exist? Why does life exist? And then I'll just freak myself out and decide, no, I'm not going to think about that today. I'm going to go back to watching TV.
Do you think that's an autism thing, or do you think that's just a you thing?
I have no idea. I think everything I do is a me thing, but everything I do could also possibly be related to autism.
What was it that made you feel out of place to other people your own age?
For as long as I can remember, really, I just was really sensitive when I was younger. when I was in the cafeteria, I would start, like, the cafeteria was so loud and so many different people, I would just start crying in the middle of it all. And then it felt like every single day I would be going to the nurse's office because I just was scared of being in the classroom.
What is it like to reflect on that time period now that you know you're autistic?
It just makes me sad. It's really hard for me to talk about it. Like, I feel like I'm clamming up here. I guess I just don't really like to think about it because it puts me back into that headspace of feeling scared and confused every single day.
Hello, darling.
Lily, tell me all about your mom.
You're my mother. I don't know. You have always been really supportive when it comes to this. I feel like even when you didn't know how to help, I always found comfort in you.
Thank you. Love this girl.
Ow!
Sorry. Aw.
How would you describe Lily?
Oh, Lily is amazing. There's so many things I'm proud of about her. I remember just early on in her diagnosis when we were still trying to find answers, there was a time when I told her, I don't know that we're ever going to find what the answer truly is. And she didn't give up. She persevered. She's like, I'm not going to take, I don't know, as an answer. And so she kept looking at videos. She found, your site. She did a lot of research. She sent me articles to help educate me. And I was just, really like, wow, I didn't think that this could be autism. I had no idea. I mean, there were so many signs and red flags, but I'm just amazed at your perseverance. I really am.
Thank you.
How would you describe what it's like to be autistic to somebody who is not autistic?
It's really like just your brain being wired a different sort of way. Like, you experience the world a little differently, sometimes a lot differently. But that's why it's a spectrum, right? Some things can just be really super overwhelming and hard to get through that aren't usually that difficult to other people. I don't really know how to introduce myself, or I don't know how to go along with a conversation. I had done speech therapy for about a year through my school. So we had a lot of conversations about, going through a conversation. And it's still something that I'm learning and practicing. It can just be hard to keep going without, going quiet or not knowing a response or how to end a conversation.
What are some parts of communication that you struggle to understand?
Maybe conversational cues, or conversational cues. I remember so many times when I was in social situations, like a birthday party or just at school. I would be like talking with my friends and I'd be like overly like excited or just really very laid back or quiet. I feel like in those situations, it felt like everyone was thinking, why is she doing that? Why is she, I don't know. Or not knowing how to comment to bring, I don't know how to word things. That's something I have a horrible time doing, but I don't know if that's related.
Do you mean communicating your thoughts?
Yeah, like that. Like, I have lots of points where I want to let someone know that I relate to them, or I want to pop in with my own little comment, but I always feel so confused on how to do that. Like, how do I get into this conversation that I'm probably not even a part of? I'm just like next to them while they're speaking.
I can tell you're a very intelligent person. What is it like to have that rich inner world, but not be able to express it effectively all the time?
It's sometimes frustrating. I feel like I can word things perfectly in my head or on paper or in my, like, when I'm talking to myself, but it does get hard when I have to try to explain that to anybody else. I feel like I can understand what I'm trying. I can understand me, but I'm not sure if everyone else is able to do so.
Does that make you feel like you're not seen?
Lots of the time I feel like it's on me for not being able to communicate my thoughts and feelings very clearly. Sometimes I wish people could just like read my mind and know what I'm trying to explain.
After Lily was finally diagnosed with autism, did you reflect on her through the lens of autism and kind of look back into her childhood and see things that you couldn't explain and realize they were symptoms of autism?
Oh, yes. Yes. So many things. I remember going to go see Disney on Ice, and we had to leave.
We did?
We did.
I don't remember that.
Your first Disney on Ice, we had to leave because it was you. No, you bolted.
That's so sad.
Did she literally just run?
Oh, she did not. Yeah, she did not want to be there. She was like, nope. Look, like she was pulling me away.
I would
She
bolt a
cannot
lot.
stay there. And then movies. I remember looking at the movie theaters, and there's a movie theater that had specifically, for low sensory. And I thought, oh, this is great. And it was like advertised, for those with autism. I was like, this would be great. Maybe I should take her to one of these. But it just never occurred to me that she could have autism.
The sign says, for children with autism. I'm like, sure, I should take my kids to that.
Well, that's kind of funny. You're finding accommodations for kids with autism,
Right.
but didn't yet put it together that she's autistic.
Again, because I feel like there are so many typical things about her. I didn't realize the different ways that autism could present.
What is the best thing other people can do to be accommodating and accepting of people who are autistic?
Just knowing that it is a wide spectrum and not all people are going to be the same. Not everyone's going to need the exact same accommodations. Like, some people really love loud music. Some people absolutely hate it. Some people like the comfort of like being surrounded, but some people feel like that's too overwhelming. So it's definitely like you have to ask the person exactly their needs and know and understand that person specifically instead of having everything as like an umbrella, I guess.
Tell me all about your dad.
Uh-oh. This could be good or bad.
I'm bad at describing, so it's gonna be,
What's this?
I don't know, presentation. This is my father.
What advice do you have for another dad out there who just learned their kid is autistic and they don't know a thing about autism?
Just educating yourself and not being afraid of anything, because you want the best for your child, and you want them to be happy, and you need to understand. You just need to understand what's going on in that brain.
What was high school like for you?
Since I had started online school in middle school, I did all of my high school online except for 1 week where I tried to go to an in-person school, and I really, really wanted it because it was my freshman year. I was so excited to start high school, to start being a teenager, but it just didn't work out for me. It didn't work. I went a week and then I was technically a high school dropout, but I was able to re-enroll into an online school, and I realized, that's what works for me, and I don't have to try and change that just because I want to fit in.
What happened when you tried the in-person school?
It was overwhelming. There were lots of people. trying to memorize a new schedule, getting around the school.
I feel like the signs really started around maybe kindergarten. She was so excited to go to regular school. She had been doing pre-K before, 4 days a week. She was so excited to do regular school 5 days a week. And she did okay, I think, the first couple of months. And then we noticed she was just so fatigued. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you were drained. You were constantly drained. And she was just always tired all the time. And the next year, she would miss a lot of school. Then there was a lot of that every single year, missing school. And we couldn't figure out, early on we were thinking that the doctors had mentioned possible celiac disease. And so we went gluten-free and we thought that maybe that was it. But looking back on it now, I realize I think it's just a lot of being overstimulated, not being able to filter out all the information that's constantly coming in. And that was just really draining her, depleting her of all of her energy.
Do you ever struggle with sensory overload?
Yeah, I like to go to concerts, but it can also be really loud with lots of people and lots of lights, and it can be a lot. Something I struggle with is like lots of smells. It triggers something in me. I get like icked out or something. I try to have fun, but at the end of the night, I'm pretty worn out. Like, even if I'm super hyped up on energy, I still feel like I need a day to recover from that.
Tell me a little bit about that low energy you feel after being in a high sensory environment.
It's just like full body exhaustion. Like, I don't know, just wanting to be alone in a quiet place, just like lie in my bed for hours and take a nap. I don't know. I feel like every time I have a long day of going outside, going to work, I just come back and I fall into my bed and I just have to sit there. I feel like just fatigue.
How would you describe the impact being at school had on her? What were you seeing from the outside?
We were seeing the panic attacks, the anxiety.
What is it like to see your kid have a panic attack?
It's frightening at first, but then thankfully, thank you to the internet, I mean, there's so much more education out there to help parents navigate that for their child, and we breathing techniques, things like that would be very helpful, right? So to a certain degree.
I always remember that you would like breathe with me. You always like hold my hand sometimes. When I remember when I was younger and I had horrible insomnia, and I always liked holding your hand during that.
It was in 6th grade that it got the worst. I mean, she probably missed over a month of school. I mean, she missed so much school. It was just so hard for her to get through every single day. And that's where it really breaks my heart, because I feel like I pushed her. I was like, you need to just, you just need to go. You just need to go. And oh my gosh, I wish we would have known sooner.
Yeah.
So we could have gotten her the care that she needed, gotten her the help that she needed.
I hate thinking about that time because I just was in so much pain, but I didn't know how to describe it. Like the amount of panic attacks and like meltdowns I would have in the school parking lot, like in my dad's car. I broke a thing in my dad's car because of I just needed to get the energy out.
What are the earliest feelings you remember of feeling different?
The overstimulation. When I was really little, around 6 or 7, just like the overstimulation of loud noises. I always hated loud noises. Being in unfamiliar situations. I was scared of planes for the longest time because it was just such an unfamiliar environment with so many different loud noises and lots of people.
What is it about new environments that you find intimidating?
The unknown, like not knowing what the situation would be like, not knowing if it's going to be something that bothers me. I mean, I also have anxiety, so the anxiety of like something going horribly wrong and just being scared of that.
What's up with you?
Tell me about your sister Emma.
Hello,
Hi.
you are my sister. You're my best friend. Is that
Yeah.
embarrassing?
Kind of.
Yeah.
You're my best friend, though. It's okay.
Aw, thank you.
We used to hate each other.
Oh yeah.
Oh, how times.
You hit me.
Yeah, because you were mean to me.
Okay.
You were mean to your sister?
Yeah.
No,
We used to beat each other up.
You were stronger than you realized.
I was.
You hit me with a pillow, probably.
Remember when we used to have those... We used to pretend we were in a wrestling ring?
Yeah.
And we would...
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And then...
I remember that.
And then I would tattle on you because you hit me too hard and I cried.
Question for you, Emma. What did you think when you learned that Lily is autistic?
I kind of already knew.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, because, like, you had kind of known for a while.
Yeah, it's like-
before you actually got tested.
Yeah, it was like a knowledge, but that wasn't technically official at that point.
Yeah, it's especially like with how much trouble you had during school. I was kind of like, something's up.
Yeah.
Like, you know? Yeah.
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 Are there any positives that come with autism?
I think it's something that makes me very creative. I feel like the way I see the world around me can... the way I see the world is different to other people, and I feel like I can convey that through art, but I'm not sure if other people would understand that, or like what I'm trying to convey.
When you're talking, are you constantly analyzing what you're saying, wondering if you're effectively expressing what you want to communicate?
Yes.
What is that like?
It's like I'm constantly thinking, oh God, are they going to understand what I'm trying to say, or am I just being way too overly complicated?
If somebody out there thinks they might be autistic, what would you say to them?
Do a lot of research. Like, know that you're not alone. The biggest thing for me was figuring out that lots of people feel the exact same way as me, because I never knew that when I was younger. And I just want people to know that there are people that feel the way you feel, and you're not crazy for feeling that way.
Thanks for watching SBSK. Click subscribe here to be part of our community. Then hit the notification bell below so you never miss a story. You can even meet another friend here. See you next time.